Glad to see you, and you're going to share your story. First, tell me who enrolled you in LifeWave.
Jennifer Gregory enrolled me last year.
Awesome, awesome. And how long have you been on this wonderful technology?
I started Thanksgiving Day of 2022, so we're hitting the 6-month mark right about now. Just over 6
this is excellent, excellent. So tell me this, their story tonight has to do with some specifics. Go ahead, and we're talking about some injury. So if you could go ahead and tell your story, and I will bring the pictures up while you are talking.
Okay. So last summer sometime, I started with a small wound on the bottom of my left foot. And it slowly was, what I didn't realize is that even though the surface didn't look that bad, there was an infection lurking underneath. And I also didn't realize at the time that I had some significant nerve damage, so I wasn't feeling what was going on there. And so in February of this year, that little wound had almost completely closed up, but that infection that was brewing underneath had tunneled to a different part of my foot and opened up. And so on February 6th of this year, I landed in the emergency room and was admitted to the hospital with what you see. This is actually a while later. Actually, this is actually a month and a half after I got all this started happening. So on the next morning, on February 7th, they started the first of 3 surgeries, and to basically go in and take out all the infected tissue. And when they finished that first surgery, the wound on the bottom of my foot was about 9 centimeters by 8 centimeters, which is roughly almost 4 inches by 3 inches. It took up most of the bottom half of my foot. And so the 3 surgeries, while I was in the hospital, I was there for a little over 2 weeks. And they were looking at, the first thing I did when I found that I was going in the hospital is I told my husband, bring my patches up here because I'm going to need them to get me through this. There's no way I'm not patching through this situation. And even from just a couple of days in, the doctors were saying how impressed they were and amazed that they were how good the wound looked after even just 48 hours. They were expecting infection in the bone. The MRI had showed a couple of spots where they were pretty sure there was infection, and there was not, thankfully. That would have completely changed the course of treatment and how long that would have taken. Because of the location of this being on the bottom of the foot and it being as large as it was and as deep as it was actually 3 centimeters at its deepest point at the beginning, which is over an inch deep at one point. So the third of the surgeries was a skin graft, but because of the location, the depth, and the size of it, they said it usually takes about 6 to 12 months for this to heal. And as you can see from the dates here on here, I think the top one looks like March 24th. That was about a month after I got out of the hospital. And at this point, most of the healing had been happening from the inside out. It was healing from the bottom up. And you can still see some of the wound vac tape and cushioning and stuff around it there. April 22nd was a month later, and there was a huge difference, and it was already starting to close in on the sides. May 14th, a month later, you can see that there's just a little bit left in the middle. The rest of it, that dark area, is actually skin that was healing in and closing in on top of the wound. May 21st, which is just a few weeks ago, it was down to what you see here. And but what like I said, they told me it would take 6 months to a year, and this here I am, just over not even 4 months, and it's completely closed now.
That is amazing. Now this is the latest, June 3rd. Can y'all see this one?
Wow.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, let's see. Just one moment, please. I have to stop and reshare. My apologies. Just the way it works for some reason today.
While you're looking at that, I just want to share a couple of comments, from my doctors. The first one, this was 2 days ago. The wound's completely closed. There's just a few spots there where the skin is still a little bit thin and it's still toughening up, but the wound is closed. And So yeah, they said it's under 4 months. And one of my doctors, the podiatrist, said, I wish all my patients' wounds looked this good. He said, this is amazing how quickly this thing has healed. And 4 months may sound like a long time, but in light of the fact that these types of things usually take 3 to 4 times that, it's or 2 to 3 times that, it's actually healed very quickly.
And so in the time that you were down, I think you also dealt with some isolation. Tell us just briefly how you feel like the patches helped you along the way, where dealing with isolation, you're dealing with pain, you're dealing with wondering if you're going to walk again because it was such a real and true deep wound. Tell us a little bit about that and how you feel like it really helped you move through it to where you are today.
So yeah, the doctors, when you go in, they always, especially before their surgery, they're going to tell you worst case scenario. And there was the possibility from the beginning of me possibly losing my foot. And I just said, I stopped him right there. I said, no, we're not. That's off the table. We're not doing that. But yeah, so during these last few months, I've been home, just recouping. And of course, obviously been off my feet because it's on the bottom. So I haven't been able to put any weight on it. So I've been using a knee scooter to get around the house, and a lot of isolation, a lot of just time alone. There was some depression that I was battling during this time. And one of the things that I've learned about myself during this time is that when our bodies when you're facing a physical issue, some kind of a sickness or injury or illness, it affects your emotions, and it affects your mental clarity, and it affects your spiritual condition, and it affects the whole person. And what I've noticed over the last couple of weeks, as this healing process has come to a close for this part of the recovery, that I can tell that my body is now shifting to the stem cells that were focused on healing that wound are now free to go other places in my body. I have no idea what they're doing. They're not giving me a map to what's going on. But I would like to point out that give them some pointers, but they know better than I do. But I can feel it in my spirit. I can feel it in my emotions. I can feel it in just my mental state. And I feel like I've got my joy back. I feel like I've got my focus back. I feel like I'm getting me back, honestly, for the first time in a very long time. I was very sick for a while before leading up to this and didn't really know it. I was diagnosed with diabetes when I went into the hospital. I did not know I was diabetic. Actually, I've been in denial for a while, honestly, and had my statement was always when people would ask, well, I haven't been diagnosed with diabetes, mostly because I hadn't been tested, because I stay away from doctor's offices. I don't want to go.
Right. And one thing we know that we don't treat any kind of specific condition. I know that there could be some glucose or sugar issues in the body.
Exactly.
So I appreciate you sharing the situation. Someone did ask, so I just want to, so you had this wound, you didn't really know it, and it festered and rose up because your body went to
yes. Well, on the surface, it looked like it was almost completely healed up, but underneath, it was other things were happening. I couldn't see it and I couldn't feel it. Yeah.
So what you had shared with me privately was that you really feel like the patches had gone after something really critical on this side of you that could have shown up way later. And given the information, glucose issues, it's wonderful that we were able to catch this before it turned into something where it could affect a limb.
Catastrophic. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. You're just such a Rachel, and you're from what city again?
Killeen, Texas.
Awesome. Killeen, Texas. Awesome. Bless you. I look forward to continuing our journey with you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Someone did ask what patches. I did see a thing pop up. It was X39 predominantly all throughout. I did occasionally use Eon as a couple others as I could, but mostly it was straight X39.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Steve.
So on February the 10th, as you can see there, I was in the yard cleaning windows. So I was carrying a bucket in one hand, half full of water, a squeegee and a mop in the other hand. and I was kind of finished for the day, and I was putting everything away, and I tripped over an irrigation line and fell into an oleander bush that had just been pruned. So it had a bunch of spikes on it. So as you can see, on February the 10th, I got a big scar or a big cut in the center of my forehead, and also along the side of my face. I just missed my eye. My glasses deflected the one that's on the side. So I didn't do anything other than sort of lie on the floor or the ground. And I picked out my cell phone and called Diane and told her she needed to come out because I hurt myself. Which I thought was funny. So she comes running out, and there was blood everywhere. And she took me to urgent care. The funny story here, she took me to urgent care and it was closed. So we actually were leaving urgent care and going to another one, and we were involved in an automobile accident. Had nothing to do with anything else, but I'm bleeding all over the place, a rag, and the girl's going like, "Oh my God, what happened? What happened?" And I said, "Well, I need to get to an urgent care." So Diane exchanged information with her and all that. Then we went and I got 18 stitches in my forehead and on the side of my head. So
Wow.
if you go back one set of pictures back to February the 14th, the bottom left-hand side, you can see that there was all kinds of swelling in my eyes. And that was all from the subcutaneous blood that was coming down from my forehead. We went to an eye doctor because my eyes were almost completely closed. And the eye doctor said, "This will get better in about 2 to 3 weeks." And you can see 3 days later, after wearing the Eon patch on my forehead, pretty much the colors come back in my eyes. There's a little bit of yellowness on the 17th. And then when you go to the next page, you actually see where I was wearing the Eon patch, along with the X39 on my back of my neck. So on the 23rd of February, which is 13 days later, I had the stitches out. And on the 23rd, there's another picture of it starting to clear up more. And then obviously March 28th, there's almost no scar there.
Wow.
The reason I took the picture for June 2nd was because there's hair growing there that I'd never had before.
Look at that. Look
Which
at that.
It's pretty bizarre, actually. So
Oh,
there's also something that Pat Tom has noticed, that my hair is actually getting darker. I've been white haired for probably 10 years or more. And Pat Tom told me that my hair is getting darker. And I have to agree with her. Every time I shave my beard now, what's going into the sink is dark hair versus all the white hair that used to be there. So another benefit.